morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to be taking a look at a new item card that could be absolutely brilliant, could be absolutely infuriating, or could be too risky and never see any play whatsoever. Well, it's a good job I can be nice and precise now, isn't it? It is Turbo Patch, and our translation here comes from, stop me if you've heard this one before, the lovely Antoine Boulet, though it does also come from the lovely David Hockman, and when they agree, we tend to be pretty happy about this. And what we see is an item card that reads, flip a coin, if heads, attach a basic energy from your discard pile to one of your basic Pokemon, except Pokemon GX. Any basic energy not special, any Pokemon, whether active or on the bench, not excluding Pokemon V and V Max, but yes, excluding Pokemon GX. So this will work to accelerate energy to a Pokemon V or V Max, but will not work to accelerate energy to a Pokemon GX. Which makes absolutely no sense to me. Now, my theory, and the lovely David Hockman has also shared this theory over on Twitter, we are in agreement here. I think this is a card that was designed a while ago. I think this is a card that was supposed to be given out as a promo a little while ago, and for whatever reason slipped through the cracks, and they released it without updating it. Because before Pokemon Vs and V Maxes, this is exactly what it would have said. It's a card which is designed to help non-GX decks, single prize decks, and it does it very nicely. But what they've gone and done here is actually allowed it to help Vs and V Maxes, and I don't think that's a good thing. I think as a general rule, this probably isn't what Pokemon was aiming for here. It's very strange. Now, as it is, it's very clear it does not work for GXs, does work for Vs and V Maxes. As a side note, if you head into the expanded format, it will work with Pokemon EXs. But it seems extremely weird to me that in 2020, when Vs and V Maxes are getting better and better by the day, we're seeing a card which excludes GXs, but doesn't exclude Vs and V Maxes, when really what these cards generally tend to do is exclude multiple prize Pokemon so that you can give a little bit of an advantage to your single prize decks that generally are on the back foot anyway. So it's very, very strange. But going away from how strange it is and looking specifically about what it actually does, I like this. Now look, it is on a coin flip, and the fact that it's on a coin flip is awkward. It is very much a risk-reward kind of card. Now what you could do is you could play the supporter card Will, and Will let you fix it so that this is definitely a heads, which sounds good. But if you're going to play a supporter card to make sure you can attach an extra energy, why would you not play BD from Sword and Shield that just lets you attach a basic energy from your hand to one of your benched Pokemon, whether they're GXs or not? And this is another example of a card. BD does work for GXs, but other than that, and I suppose it's from hand, not from discard, but it's a very similar card, one on a coin flip, one not on a coin flip, because one's an item and one's a supporter. Similarly, you could use Green's Exploration to search two of these out, and then you've got a 75% chance that at least one of them hits. But again, if you're really using that, you might as well just go BD here. What we're doing is we are accelerating energy, and we're doing it with an item card. And generally speaking, accelerating energy with an item card is very, very good, but it really depends how good it is. So one of the best we've seen, at least since I've been playing, is Colress Machine. Now, back when Colress Machine came out, we actually had a very special card, Plasma Energy. It was legitimately just a colorless energy. That's all it did. But it interacted with other cards like Colress Machine that let you search your deck for a Plasma Energy and attach it to one of your Team Plasma Pokemon. So, although Plasma Energy in and of itself wasn't special, the fact that you could use Colress Machine really did make it special. The best one we've had in the last few years is Max Elixir. Max Elixir let you look at the top 6 cards of your deck, and if there was a basic energy there, you could attach it to a benched basic Pokemon. Now, Max Elixir was a generally quite skillful card. This was a card where you could really affect the outcome. Firstly, you had to make sure you had the switching option, so you've got the right one on the bench to attach to, and then move it up into the active, as we've seen with stuff like Aqua Patch, Malamar, etc., accelerating to the bench, so you've got to have a way to get in the active. It also only worked for basic Pokemon, so there were times you would hold off on evolving just so you could Max Elixir, and if you couldn't evolve after the Max Elixir, that would introduce a real risk-reward element here. But also, there was a question of how many basic energy do you play, and this was very much a mathematical question, trying to give yourself the greatest probability of hitting an energy. The only way to make it certain was to play Max Elixir when every other card in your deck was energy. But firstly, there was a question of how many energy you actually play. And secondly, there was the question of how well you fin your deck. Because the better you fin your deck, the fewer cards there are remaining in your deck, the easier it was to hit with Max Elixir. Now, the other one that springs to mind for me here was Ether. Ether did not see anywhere near as much play. Ether let you reveal the top card of your deck, and if it was a basic energy, you just attached it to one of your Pokemon. Now, there was, I believe, if I'm remembering my years correctly, I believe it was legal for a short period with Research Record that let you just rearrange the top 4 cards of your deck while putting as many as you like onto the bottom of your deck. And that meant that you could basically know whether you had one on top of your deck or not. I mean, Ether would actually be really good nowadays, because we've got Oranguru that can put a card on top of your deck from your hand. And we've got Makago that can put a card on top of your deck from in your deck. And actually, if we had Ether nowadays, and to be fair, Makago GX's ability is just Ether, but for fire energy. Actually, it's not really for fire energy, is it? It's just Ether. The ability is literally just Ether, except you discard the card rather than just look at it. So the point is, we've seen other cards along these lines. How do we feel about this one? The problem is the coin flip. Max Elixir was a very good card, but it was a rather skillful card because there were plenty of things you could do to increase your chances of hitting Max Elixir, and there were plenty of times you'd be taking a calculated risk. There's no risk here, it's literally a coin flip. It's just... And you are accelerating for the discard, and accelerating for the discard is good because we're playing cards at the moment like Quick Ball, like Aurora Energy, like Professor's Research, all of whom will actually get energy into the discard. So in that regard, it's quite nice. We're going to probably have energy in the discard, and if you flip heads, it will work. But then we're back in a situation of, do you really want to play a flippy card? I mean, if you look at something like Stonejourner V, Stonejourner V is a very good card. It's also a card that can hit 150 damage turn 1 going second if you get free energy on there. But the energy acceleration doesn't really work. Hit a couple of these. Now, to be fair, at the moment, we got Tapu Koko V, who with the combination of Thunder Mountain Prism Star and Tapu Koko Prism Star, or if you want to take out Thunder Mountain, an energy switch would also do the job. And you could basically get a turn 1 200 going second. And then, of course, we've got fire Pokemon like Cinderace V, who can use Welder and their attachment for the turn to do 140 damage. Turn 1 going second. Yesterday we talked about Houndoom can now hit 200 damage. Turn 1 going second. And no, they're not the easiest things in the world to pull off, but when you're hitting giant one-hit KOs, turn 1 going second, it's very much worth the investment. And that's kind of my problem with this card, because it means that many more Pokemon are going to be able to do this. The Pokemon I've just named for you are Pokemon Vs. They all work with this card. Stonejourner, incidentally, was one of the ones shown off in the video where they revealed this over in Japan. And that was very much a, hey, look, we can use it on Pokemon V as well. And I just end up thinking, how many games am I going to lose because my opponent drew these early and flipped heads? I don't want to lose any. Max Elixir kind of sucked, and there was always the possibility of your opponent getting lucky or unlucky. And then there was that dude that got disqualified from a big tournament in the UK for blatantly stacking their deck, playing a Max Elixir deck. These things did happen, unfortunately. But most of the time, it was kind of a significantly more skillful card. Ether, very similar kind of deal. This just strikes me as players are going to flip a coin and flip heads and win games that they would otherwise have lost just because they flipped heads. And maybe that's fair. Maybe the fact that they're playing this card and taking a coin flip means they deserve to win the game. But anytime we see something like this, it makes me slightly apprehensive. What the lovely Antoine Boulet put out over on Twitter was, it's like Max Elixir, but without the skill. And as you've heard me talk about in this video, I'm pretty much in agreement with that. I don't think it's a bad card. I think it's a very good card. But I also think it's a kind of card that is not necessarily fair to everybody that plays it, and is not necessarily terribly skill intensive, and really should not be allowed for Pokemon Vs. Because there's always ways to recover these kind of cards, and that might end up going badly. I'm giving it between 3 and 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies, that would be barbaric. The fact that it's on a coin flip does nerf it really nicely, and I like that. But let's not hide from the fact that this is still a flat-out phenomenal card if you flip heads, and a significantly worse card if you don't. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I think, but I'd be very interested to know what you think. So let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassiePlays, where you can find out about a whole bunch of games that don't have Pokemon in, but are pretty gosh darned awesome nonetheless. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.